Hey everyone, I'm Aimirgin, and I'm here as a sub for the Trans Brothers collab. So hello, Trans Brothers. I don't know if you see me around, you may have, I'll put a link to my personal channel and my other collab channel if you're interested at the bottom. You know, if you want to get to know me, I'm not going to waste time on introductions here. If you don't want to get to know me, that's cool too, whatever. So, this week's topic, I believe, is naming ourselves, choosing a name. I'm actually really excited to do this topic. I haven't really covered it a whole lot before in any videos, so yeah. I think it's really exciting to get to choose a name. Some guys have, you know, their parents or someone really significant in their family or something like that, chosen family or biological, choose their name, and that's really great. But some people don't, and I fall in that category, so I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, my mom didn't want to choose my name, which is fine, and so I got to pick it for myself. And the name that I picked, I wanted something that actually, you know, went with your first initial. You don't have to do that, obviously, but it's something I wanted. I wanted to keep that first initial. My name actually has a lot of meaning. My birth name has, my legal name, as of right now, at least, has a lot of meaning in it because of why my mom chose it. So I wanted to keep something that was at least a little bit similar to it and at least, you know, kept the same initials. So I also wanted something that reflected my heritage because I'm really, really Irish, and sort of what isn't Irish is English, Welsh, and Scottish, and a tiny bit of German, but mostly English, Welsh, Irish, and Scottish, with a strong, overwhelming majority of it being Irish. So I wanted a name in Irish itself or Gaelic, some sort of Celtic heritage in there. And meaning was also important to me. So I just researched a whole bunch of Irish, Celtic, and even some Welsh and Scottish names that began with A, and looked through the meanings and looked through the sounds of them and picked one I liked, which is Aimirgin. And there's sort of, you know, this whole thing with, especially with people who can choose their own name, especially trans persons, that, you know, some people pick names that sort of, at least in sort of trans society, identify them as trans people, whether they want to or not. You know, some people don't want it to do that, but they pick names, the whole, you know, Aiden thing, they do that, which is fine, but, you know, you pick that being aware that it might be a tip-off to some people that you're trans, which, that's just kind of how it is, at least right now. That's sort of how it is. And then there's this other thing, too, of picking these names that are sort of really cool or names you always wanted, but they may not be as mainstream, they may not be, you know, the sort of names that your parents would have given you if you were born the gender you identify with, you know, or you were signed at birth the gender you identify with. And so there's a question I saw recently on sort of morally, is that okay? You know, should you do that, or should you try to go along the lines of what they would have picked and respect that? Or if they don't want to rename you, or they don't tell you, you know, what name they would have given you, then, or they didn't have a name they would have given you, then, you know, do you go ahead and just give yourself this name? And if it's sort of a really, really unique name, I actually was told by a few people that in picking my name, people, when they first heard it, might get the impression that I was just I was transitioning to show people that I wanted to be really unique, and sort of to call attention to myself, which is not at all what I wanted to do. Yeah, but I went ahead and picked it anyway because it's important to me, this name. So, I mean, I would just say you gotta go with what you want. You know, make sure it's something that, I would say, test it out for a while before you legally change it, just because it can be tough to get it legally changed if you end up not liking it as much. Not impossible, just tough. So test it, make sure you really like it. You know, make sure it's something that, you know, we're going to be signing it all the time, that you want to sign all the time, that you want to hear all the time, that you don't mind writing down, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah. Also, there's this idea of you can sometimes, you know, pick a more gender-neutral name, and my name, Aimirgin, is actually, I think, you know, it's a male name, but if you aren't aware of the heritage and stuff like that, you may not know what gender goes along with it, which wasn't really the goal. I really wanted a very masculine name, actually. But there's obviously some freedom there, so yeah, you can think about that when picking a name. And then kind of the rest of my situation with my name is rather interesting too. I when I was first coming out, so I started living full time as male, at college at least, this past fall, so fall 2011 semester. So that was in August, and I had known some people before. It's a pretty small college, it's only 2,000 people. I had known people there, and I didn't want them to sort of have to learn this new name. Also, it's a little bit hard to spell and stuff like that, and the nickname that I had sometimes gone by was my last name. People would call me that. And I also wanted, I didn't want to have this name that was totally different than what showed up on the email and all that kind of stuff. Because we have like your legal name in the system is also in your email and all this different stuff. So my last name's also Irish actually, and is a little bit more easy to spell and pronounce from what you read and all of that. So I actually go by that for the most part. My parental unit and my sister, they both, since they share that last name, it would be weird for them sort of to call me that. So they actually, and they wanted me to have another name that wasn't Aimirgin. So I actually chose a nickname for them that I wanted to test out as a middle name that I really like. So they call me something else. So people I know generally call me Aimirgin, or my last name. My family calls me this nickname that's actually going to become my middle legal name. So it's all very strange, and I think at some point that might all even out a little bit more. What my family calls me and what my friends call me, what people at school call me. So I'm in this sort of weird place right now. But yeah, so that's sort of my story. And I look forward to seeing what everyone else on the channel has to say. And thanks guys for asking me to be a sub for this week. And cheers. Bye.